Take two. Hello there, or I should say good morning. I'm going into surgery in the morning at the butt crack of dawn. And you say, what's the big deal about a surgery? Well, this surgery is a big deal to me because they're going to drill a hole in the top of my head and insert a tube to help drain the excessive amount of fluid that has built up around my head. Everybody has this fluid there, but most of it is drained down and dissipates in your body. But mine will not dissipate, it just sits there. It causes me to lose my balance, gives me headaches all the time. It's really a pain. But the true story is not about the operation. It's how I got to this point and how much hassle or I had to go through to get to this point. Let's go back 3 years. 3 years ago, I was having this problem where I couldn't stand up straight. I was balanced. Now I have weak legs anyway, so not being able to stand up and stand up very long and weave, I looked like I had been drinking all night long. I surely couldn't pass the DWI test if I had to. And at that time, I quit driving because I didn't feel safe going down the road. I don't mind hurting myself, but I don't want to hurt anybody else. So I went up, told my primary doctor, Dr. 1 now, told her what was going on. She said, well, I'm going to send you to a neurologist and let them look at you and see what's wrong. I go to the neurologist, talk to them. She looks at me, she said, well, I'm going to send you down for an MRI. MRI number 1. They do the MRI, I come back, and this all takes 2 months or better because there's a time delay in getting anything done with any doctor. And this was before the pandemic, just before. I get back in there and she tells me, well, you have a fluid built up around your brain, making it a little foggy, and that could be causing you problems. So she does all these weird tests on my legs. See, sticks probes in them and does that electrical shock, which I had just been complaining about my legs. My legs have been numb or heavy feeling for the last 10, 12 years. And nobody's ever paid. And I mention it to every doctor I have, or every doctor I've seen. They do sonograms inside there, see if I had blood clots. Nobody, have had that done twice. No blood clots, but my legs are real heavy when I walk. And I thought that was the problem why I wasn't able to balance myself. We go along there and then we go into the pandemic. And getting in to see a doctor for a test was virtually impossible. They wanted to do it over the phone, through FaceTime. Well, there's no way in hell and high water you can go up and diagnose a person that way. There's no telling how many people in the United States or in the world died because they couldn't get to see a doctor or couldn't get to be tested properly. So about 9 months ago, we contacted my neurologist. She said, come in, let me see you. She looked at me for 10 minutes and told me, you have really severely deteriorated from the first time I saw you. I didn't think I'd deteriorated that much because I was this way before on the very first test. So she sends me to a neurosurgeon. Well, it took about 5, maybe 6 weeks to get an appointment to see him, which I didn't see. I saw his assistant. I went to there. She said, okay, we need to do another MRI of your head. Now, this is the second MRI in a 2-year period. I do the MRI. Another 5 weeks go along, and I get back in to see the assistant, the physician's assistant. She said, there's a lot of buildup of fluid around your brain. And I think I had this much before, but the first neurologist had lost the films or couldn't get a hold of them or didn't have them. She was just guessing what was there. So she said, we need to drain some of this fluid off and see if it will affect your ability to walk and talk and chew bubble gum. So I go up and she sends me to a hospital, and they drain off 300 cc's of fluid off my back through a spinal tap. It didn't hurt that much, but it was difficult and I didn't like it, but it's not that painful. And I did a test before and after. And after test was I could walk a lot better, my head quit hurting, and I felt great. So they said, we'll send the test results to your neurosurgeon's office. About 4.5 weeks later, maybe, I think it was really right at 5 weeks, and I got back in there. Now, I didn't see her then, the doctor. I just saw an assistant. She said there was a big improvement on your ability to walk and everything. So we're going to set up another appointment for you to come in here, and we'll get you in with the neurosurgeon. 2 weeks later, I get in there, and what's weird is the surgeon didn't know a damn thing about what I was doing there. The offices were empty. There was nobody in there. I was the only patient that morning. So as I'm coming out of the bathroom, which is one of the bad side effects from this, is you lose your bladder control, or you have to go to the pot and pee a lot. So I'm leaving the bathroom, and she is explaining to the doctor, the surgeon, right there and then, what's wrong with me. It's like she grabbed him and said, look, I got this patient, this is what's going on, and you need to see him. I guess that's how they work. I just figured he was going to know a little bit about me before I got there. But I guess they're so important. I've always heard that neurosurgeons were arrogant bastards. And then maybe they are. I got to be nice because he's fixing to dig in my head. So I spoke to him in the office in there, and he said, well, there's no way you can't take any drugs anywhere, and the only way we can drain that excessive fluid off is by inserting a stent in your brain. The line will come down my neck and drain into my cavity. And I'd seen a video online, them drilling in your head. And I'm, okay. I think the worst part is going to be not so much drilling in my head because there's no nerves. It's running that tube down my neck into my abdomen, my cavity of my body. That's where the cavity of my body. And drain that excess fluid off. And I don't know how this is. Sorry about that, but the camera just stopped towards the end of it, and I think this is kind of important that it all be put together. So if my piecing is not pretty, forgive me. Like I say, it's been a long time since I've done this, and this is a phone. This camera is over 10 years old. I bought a new iPhone 13, but I haven't figured out how to use it yet. Anyway, if you have these symptoms and you have a hard time, or you have a family member and y'all been wondering why they're stumbling or can't hold their balance, go to your physician and say, look, what do you think? Don't tell them you know what the answer is, because it may be something totally different. And have these tests done. send you to a neurologist. I had to go and get a Parkinson's test yesterday just to make sure I don't have Parkinson's, because the symptoms from Parkinson's and this are both the same. The fluid on the head, on the brain, will give you the same symptoms. And that is a day in my life I'll never get back. I never was so bored, so tired of doing something. And it was simple. Once they got the computer working, it all worked out fine. It was over with in a matter of just a few minutes, or about a minute. But, you know, this is something that most people may ignore. That person is losing his balance. He's not walking right. He's been drinking. If you guys stop by a policeman and you have what I had, you're going to go to jail. I don't care if you're stone sober, because you're forgetful. You may even stutter. Now, different people will have different symptoms, so just remember that. Don't go out there, don't go to your doctor and say, hey, I saw this on the internet and this is what's wrong with me or my grandmother or my uncle or my wife or something like that. Go in there with an open mind and think about it. Don't tell them I told you that it was working or this is what the problem is. See, I have a tendency to forget my conversation and where I'm at in it. So if you have somebody like that, think about it. Maybe you can save someone else the misery. I've had 5 MRIs in the last 7 months. And them are very expensive, time consuming, and you have to wait in between each one of them, in my case, to get in to see a doctor. And with the people pushing this pandemic crap, it's even harder. But if you get it done, and I'll let you know here in about 5 days if it's any good, if I come back as a moron or unable to speak at all, or stand, or if I'm dead, you know, the surgery was not a success. So, good luck to y'all, and I'll be back with more videos, so please like and subscribe this one so you can see what the next one is going to be. If there's not another one, that's how it happens. I am 72 years old and not in the best of health. So anyway, y'all take it easy.